Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm joined here, as always, on a Sunday morning with the man with the best beard in the business, Mr. Cam G. Cam, how you doing on this wonderful football Sunday?
Man, I'm actually kind of tired. I could barely sleep waiting for this particular episode of the Huddle Hub, honestly, because I'm very excited to talk some college football and some NFL. So, yeah, man, I'm ready.
It was a humongous day in college football yesterday. Number one, in the comment, the intro scared you. That's what the intro is supposed to do. See, it's Sunday morning, and you're kind of trying to still get your bearings together, everything like that, and then bam, just wakes you up. Wakes you right up. That's what this intro is supposed to do. So it's supposed to scare you. It's supposed to get you going. We got John in the chat. John, how you doing this morning? Thank you for joining us on this Sunday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. Appreciate you stopping in. But that's what this intro is supposed to do, man. That was the whole idea behind it. You know, when we were putting the show together and I was getting the intros together and everything like that, I was like, I need something that's going to wake us up in the morning. And it hit. And that's courtesy of Alan Will over at River City Radio for the intros, helping us out and getting that together. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. So, yeah, Cam, man, huge Saturday yesterday in college football. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the news coming out of the world of football. And we're also going to preview week 5 of the NFL coming up. We got a game going on right now. Last score I checked, it was 7-7 all between the Vikings and Browns over in London this morning. So another international game. And I talked about the international games on Tuesday's episode about how fans felt about international games happening, because in 2026, Cam, over in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, there's going to be 6 regular season games that are going to be happening in 2026 overseas. So I posed the question of how people felt if their team was going to be playing an international game. And you've experienced that last week with the Steelers playing an international game early. So before we get into everything, what's your thought? How did you feel about the Steelers playing that early in the morning internationally?
It's just weird. Like, you know, I mean, the travel alone, I think is just a bit brutal. Just for their scheduling, I guess it messes up their schedule for, practice and things like that. So for them, I honestly feel bad. It's just weird doing these international games. I'm personally not realistically a fan of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then like for the fans' perspective, I mean, like I said, again, you're so used to, your 1:00 games or your 4 p.m. games, and then it's just like if your team plays at freaking 9:30 in the morning, you might forget about that. That football might be the last thing on your mind at 9:30 in the morning. So it's just very strange to me.
See, I'm one of those fans that I'm literally thinking football almost all the time, along with pro wrestling and other things. But football is, my number one sport, baseball number 2. I love baseball. Phillies dropped game 1 in the NLDS last night. Kind of upsetting, but it's only game 1. Hey, it's one game. That's it. But like when I think about the Eagles, they played overseas last year. They played over in Sao Paulo, Brazil in week 1 against the Packers. It was on a Friday night. So it's like you're so used to the old schedule of you go back to the 90s, early 2000s, you had Sunday and Monday. That was it. And then they integrated the Thursday night game. And it's like, okay, the reason why we're doing the Thursday night game, and that was mainly after Thanksgiving. And then they grew into, hey, we're going to make this a every week regular season thing of we're going to play Thursday night games. Cool. Then they started doing the overseas thing. We're going to play at 9:00 in the morning. We're going to play on a Friday night over in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's like football is taking over. Now you get football on Sunday, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, Friday night to open the season, and then towards the back end of the year, you get games on sometimes Friday night and Saturday nights. Yeah. So it's almost like the NFL is taking over the whole week. You get what, Tuesday and Wednesday? That's it.
Yeah.
That's more towards the back end of the year, but it will not surprise me if come 2027 we have football all week. I mean, they're going to need time to kind of, they're going to have to do the scheduling on for teams to be able to practice more, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, but I feel like football is going to be happening. I could see us having one day. I mean, if you're going to do the schedule, make sure it's make sure we have Tuesday, Wednesday at least. I mean, these guys need time to. I mean, you look at the injury list right now.
Oh my gosh,
it's insane. And these guys aren't even practicing fully in pads. They're not hitting in practice. They don't hit until they're in a game. It's crazy. Coach John Gruden talked about this on a show, a podcast the other week, about it's so crazy how this injury list is now, and these guys aren't hitting during the week. These guys aren't hitting each other until they're on the field in a game on Sunday. So it's crazy. It's nuts. But like I said, come 2027, I think football takes over the whole week. I think we'll be lucky if we get one day off. So, but we'll have to see. That's in the future. We're going to get into the stuff that's happening now, and that is college football week 6. Cam, we had some upsets in college football yesterday. Unranked UCLA. They ended up picking up their first win of the season. They defeated number 7 Penn State 42-37. Penn State dropping their second game in a row, losing to Oregon last week, and now they lost to winless UCLA, who now has a win. Unranked Cincinnati defeated number 14 Iowa State 38-30, and unranked Florida came out and defeated number 9 Texas 29-21. Cam, out of all these upsets, I know they're all surprising. I know it's, Cincinnati, Florida's starting to kind of get things together. They got 2 wins under their belt now. What game out of all these upsets surprised you the most?
I would have to say the Penn State game. I realistically didn't see them dropping 2 games back to back. Had a big ranked game last week against Oregon. They struggled there. But I fully expected them to bounce back against, unranked UCLA. So that was definitely surprising as well. So you can expect to hear them, talking a lot about James Franklin and his struggles right now. It's one thing to struggle against, a ranked team, powerhouse right now like Oregon. And then it's another thing to just drop an unranked game. So not really looking good for Penn State right now. They've definitely got an uphill battle, to be able to make the playoffs right now. So I don't know, but that's definitely surprising. I fully expected them to take care of UCLA for sure.
I think a lot of people expected them to come out and take care of UCLA. I mean, UCLA, again, didn't pick up a win all year. They were 0-4 coming into this game, obviously unranked because of the fact they're 0-4. But when you watch this game yesterday, it was almost like James Franklin took all of the criticism of, hey, you can't win the big games. Okay, that was the criticism throughout the whole week. So it was like, all right, so is he going out to prove a point that he, I can't win small games either? He ran the ball in situations that he didn't need to be running the ball. He should have been putting the ball in the air. You watch this game, and it's almost like Penn State said, here you go, UCLA. Now at the back end of the game, we're going to try and pose a comeback. But, it's almost like they handed UCLA this win.
Right.
Watching this game, running on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, I'm sitting here baffled as a Penn State fan on what they were doing. If they would have pulled this game out, I would have been sitting here questioning that if this team goes into the playoffs, what are they going to do there? And Drew Aller, quarterback of Penn State, did an interview after the game yesterday, and the question was posed to him, is Penn State still in the running for the college football playoffs? And he goes, what do you think? Yeah, we are. How? After this loss, how? I don't see it. Because coming up in 2 weeks, you got number 1 Ohio State, who's been steamrolling teams left and right. Regardless of the fact of who they're playing, they're still beating teams. They're still winning. They're the number 1 team in the nation. If you go in and lose to Ohio State or any other games at this factor, your college football playoffs are gone. Gone. No shot at winning the Big Ten. No shot at making the playoffs. So I don't know what he thinks, where he thinks that this team's going to make a college football playoff. I don't. Now, when you look at the other parts of the schedule, it's like, okay, these teams are beatable. These are winnable games. But that November 1st Ohio State matchup, at this point of the year, I don't see it. Now, we've seen upsets happen, and we've seen a great deal of it yesterday. And could Penn State go out and surprise some people and beat Ohio State? They could. But right now, when you look at it, is it likely to happen? No. No. And I said this to you yesterday, and I said this to John, and I said this to many other people. I don't feel like Drew Aller's head is fully in the game. I don't. I don't feel like it. And good for him with the personal stuff going on. Congratulations to him. But he's got to learn that if that's the factor, he's got to learn to separate and put the priorities first. And I understand your personal life is a priority first type of thing, but for 60 minutes, 3 hours in real time, your attention should be on that field. It should be. You are deemed as a top prospect for the NFL draft. You are expected to go in the first round to whatever team needs a quarterback moving into the 2026 season. And I feel like his draft stock is slowly fading down. And we've seen this happen with many players to where their draft stock fell because they didn't put the priorities. And by all means, I'm not trying to fault the kid, but it's just the factor. You got to kind of get those thoughts in mind. You're responsible for helping 85 other men that are suited up on that field to get to where they want to be as well. And you got to put that in perspective as well. So, Cincinnati, Iowa State. Cam, I'm going to say this right now. This one, Iowa State this year has been playing some good football. They have been. I didn't expect them to come out to lose to Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati is a back and forth football team this year. They're one of those teams that can go out and win big games if they have to. Going out and beating Iowa State, they did it. Florida 2-3 down, going out upsetting Texas. This one I didn't see happening at all. Texas, they come out in week 1, they dropped to Clemson. They fell from number 1 down to number 7, number 8 in the rankings. They didn't fall hard. And you sit there thinking, Arch Manning, is he just, a name? Or is he actually a kid that's going to come out and actually play football? Last couple weeks came out, showed it, that he's going to come out and play football. Yeah. And now yesterday, you dropped to Florida, who did not have the best start to their season. Coach is on the hot seat. Things are going wrong. And then the quarterback Lagway comes out and has a great game and leads Florida to a win against Texas. Do you have any thoughts on Florida and Texas?
Well, I mean, I definitely know that, Arch Manning, he's pretty much under a microscope, from Eli, from Peyton, from the rest of the league, because he's definitely going to be somebody who's a top prospect, going to the NFL, especially because of his last name. I mean, another Manning in the NFL, a lot of teams are going to be wanting to jump on that as soon as possible. I honestly think he'll be fine though. Like I said, with the head coach, under the hot seat or whatever. I think that's what it is. I think he needs better leadership. That's what I think, and I think it starts at head coach. And I think once that happens, I think he'll be fine. But yeah, Texas is a head scratcher right now. Texas is an odd team right now because they can go out and look good one week, and then the next week they drop this game like they did against Florida. So I don't know. I would think that they're still a threat, maybe. But who knows right now? It's really kind of a touchy situation. I do believe, but I gotta. A part of me has to feel for Arch Manning because he's going to be under a lot of scrutiny. When they do lose games.
I mean, he's definitely under a microscope, and it all starts with the name Manning. Yeah. It is. I mean, both Eli and Peyton, they go out, they win Super Bowls. Peyton does it with two different teams, with the Colts and the Broncos. Eli, and some people pose the question to me, who do I think the better Manning is? And I'll say this right now. Peyton, yes, you look at it statistically, he went out 1-2 with two different teams, but Eli went out and beat the GOAT and Tom Brady twice.
Yes.
I mean, you go out and beat Tom Brady not once but twice. Who's the better Manning? Just saying. Some other scores in college football in the top 25. Alabama has gave Vanderbilt their first loss, 30-14 last night. Now, Cam, I was paying attention to this game very, very closely just due to the fact that this was Vanderbilt's first test all season. Going into this game undefeated. Virgo, thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate you stopping in. Checking out the Huddle Hub podcast. Thank you so much. Brisket and turkey. That's a good one today. That's a good one. Good one for this early in the morning. It's good. But Alabama goes out, beats Vanderbilt. John posed the statement that this was Vanderbilt's first test. Okay, going into this game undefeated. Alabama, they suffered that loss to Florida State at the beginning of the year. Could Vanderbilt stick with Alabama? You get to halftime of this game was tied. And then you get to the second half, it was a totally different ball game for Vanderbilt and a totally different ball game for Alabama as Alabama just took over and won this game. I mean, the defense in Alabama just came out and pressured that Vanderbilt offense in the second half just so that a lot of mistakes were being made, and now Vanderbilt ends up suffering their first loss. Your thoughts on Alabama and Vanderbilt?
Well, like I said, yeah, I agree with you. This was definitely Vanderbilt's first true test. I think they definitely hung in there with them for sure. This could have been a lot worse. This could have just been a complete utter blowout. But I just think going into that second half, towards the end of this game, I just think Vanderbilt's defense just got tired. That Alabama offense just wore them out. That's what I realistically think. They haven't faced anybody like this Alabama offense really realistically. So they really just at that point I feel like it was a bend don't break type of defense. And I think they accomplished that. Like I said, again, this could have been a lot worse. Like I said, shout outs to Alabama's kicker too, because towards the end of this game, I mean, they were pretty much just murdering them to death with field goals. And like I said again, and that's more kudos to Vanderbilt's defense because they kept them out of the end zone for the most part. So like I said, I think Vanderbilt will be fine. I definitely think they'll bounce back next week. I definitely don't think this team is done. But again, like I said, Alabama right now is just scary. I mean, that's just a really good team right now. So this is a really good game, though. And like I said, I really do think Vanderbilt, I think, proved that they definitely can hang in there with some of the bigger names, bigger teams.
When you look at Vanderbilt's schedule from this point on, they got number 13 LSU on October 18th. So they have the bye week coming up. And then they play number 19 Missouri, number 9 Texas. Then they got Auburn, Kentucky, and number 15 Tennessee. So they got some ranked matchups coming up, some big SEC ball games. I mean, these are going to be huge games for Vanderbilt if they want to bounce back and stay in the top of the rankings and maybe make a run to play in the SEC title game. I mean, how insane would it be to see the Commodores in the SEC title game?
Nuts.
Insane. And you got Georgia, who suffered a loss early in the season. Tennessee, who suffered their loss to Georgia. So you got some teams that have that 1-loss, 2-loss record that may not help them get into the SEC title game. The Commodores have a huge opportunity to put themselves in this position that they can bounce back, especially against an LSU Tigers team in 2 weeks. So we'll have to see. Miami, number 3, came out defeated number 18, Florida State, 28-22. Florida State suffering their second straight loss as well. They lost to Virginia in overtime last week in that shocker. And then they came out and played Miami last night. Now, Miami, they handled this game. And then once you got to the last 5-6 minutes of the fourth quarter, Florida State tried to pose a comeback. There was one play in particular that I was like, oh, this is kind of smart. Florida State was down 28-19 with about 3 minutes left, or actually less than that. It was under a minute left. Sorry. And they kicked a field goal on a 1st and 10. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is smart. Kick a field goal, make it 28-22, kick an onside kick, try and recover it, and give yourself one more chance on offense, but they couldn't recover the onside kick. Miami ends up winning the game. The score doesn't reflect how this game went. Florida State just struggled through this whole football game. And I started a chain reaction online this week with posing the prediction of Florida State winning, and I've yet to face backlash on it, which is surprising because all week people were just like, "You're freaking crazy, dude. What are you talking about?" You know, Florida State, they've been playing very well, even though they lost to Virginia last week in overtime. Florida State's been playing a lot better than people think they were going to do. So, if you have any thoughts on Miami and Florida State?
Well, like I said, I do believe that Carson Beck, since coming out here to Florida, is doing a lot better, I think, than what he was doing in Georgia. I think he balled out in this game. 20 of 27, 241 yards, 4 touchdowns, absolutely balling out in this game. Like I said, Miami right now, I think, is definitely a force to be reckoned with right now at 5-0. Dangerous team, I do believe. Florida State, I don't know. I wouldn't say they will bounce back, but I don't know. Two big losses back to back is definitely not going to help them down the stretch, but we'll definitely have to see. But overall, I mean, I think this was a pretty solid game.
When you look at Florida State's schedule, the rest of the way out, they got Pitt, they got Stanford, Wake Forest, Clemson, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, and then Florida. A lot of beatable teams. Florida State, I think, still has an opportunity to get themselves in position to win the ACC, and possibly, if things go in their favor, because we've seen how the committee is towards the ACC, maybe get them into the playoffs and where they deserve to be 2 years ago. They deserve to be in the playoffs 2 years ago. They got screwed out of that going undefeated. Yeah, quarterback got injured at the end of the year, and some may say that's what affected them because of his gameplay, but that shouldn't have been the factor. Florida State got screwed. Last year, had a bad year. They bounced back this year. They're still in position to win the ACC. They're still in position to possibly make the college football playoff. And I would sit here and say that if Florida State wins the rest of this way out, I think they get an opportunity. I don't think Florida State's out of it just yet. Now, if I had to compare the two between Penn State and Florida State has a lot better chance. A lot better chance than Penn State right now. And that's just my opinion. But that's that for college football. We will be getting the top 25 updated around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. And on Tuesday, me and John will be talking about the updated top 25 and getting you guys ready for week 7. Let's take 30 seconds right now, and we'll get you guys ready for the news after this 30-second break. So make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias right now. If you're on the Twitch channel, make sure you're hitting that follow button. If you're on the YouTube channel, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube, and all the other socials on TikTok and X at the Huddle Hub Pod. All announcements for shows are made over on the X. So you want to go over there and follow right now for any announcements for the show. And on TikTok, you can catch all of our posts, all our video posts that we post on YouTube as well. So make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast through the 2025 season and beyond. So John, oh my God, I almost said John. Sorry, Cam. Let's get into the news of stuff. Score update: Vikings are up 14-10 over the Browns right now. I predicted the Vikings to win this game. I mean, the Browns offense, Dillon Gabriel getting the start after Joe Flacco getting benched. I mean, that's the first part of the news. Let's talk about that real quick. Joe Flacco gets benched last week. Dillon Gabriel's getting the start for Cleveland right now over in London against the Vikings. Cam, you are no stranger to the AFC North and the Cleveland Browns. I mean, what does this have to say for Cleveland and the Browns? I mean, Dillon Gabriel trying to become the first quarterback since 1999 to get their first win of their career. in Cleveland. What does this have to say for the Browns? I mean, good move, bad move?
Just a Browns move, I guess. I mean, they are known to be their own worst enemy. I think we've seen that season after season. I mean, for God's sakes, we've seen them go 0-16 a couple seasons ago. So I mean, they're just their own worst enemy. I don't know. They're kind of pulling the best way I can describe it is they're pulling a New York Giants move with starting somebody who is probably more than qualified to be starter. Because Dylan Gabriel right now, I mean, he looks good for the duration of this game, I guess. I think they got caught up. I think they got tunnel vision with Joe Flacco because of the whole playoff run and things like that. But I think we're seeing, or we saw at least, why he is riding the bench, why he is backup. Like, he's the guy that you bring in. Your starter gets hurt. He comes in for a few weeks. Yeah, he'll be good in those situations. He's good coming off the bench. But is he good? I guess they needed that question answered. Is he good from week 1 through week 17? And the answer to that question is no. I don't think he's the guy to realistically be the future of the head of the offense for the Cleveland Browns. That's just not how that works. You need to bring in somebody new. You need to bring in somebody young, somebody fresh. Joe Flacco has had his career, and his career has been great and things like that. But it's just he's not a fit for being the starter. From week 1 through week 17. It's just not the case. So I think it's an okay move, but again, you're throwing Dylan Gabriel in the deep end because you already have a losing record of 1-3. So he's got to dig you out of this hole, and so you can have a chance at going 3-3. So yeah, I don't even really know what to call it really, but it's just a Browns move. It's typical of the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, it's not only you're throwing him into the deep end, you're throwing him into a game that's overseas. You're not at home, the travel, everything. You had to prep this kid basically on the fly to come in and take over this game. And the other thing was, too, is you send his backup to his backup, Shedeur Sanders, out to do media for him. And that caught a lot of scrutiny in Cleveland this week. Why are you sending Shedeur Sanders, who right now is QB number 3, out to do the media for the starter? Why are you doing that? Yeah. It makes no sense. I get it. He's a figure. He's a what some people call him a camaraderie quarterback because of his name. I mean, we know Shedeur can play. He showed it in the preseason. He showed it in college. But to put him in the position of going out and doing your media for your new starting quarterback, and Joe Flacco with the whole playoff run 2 years ago, number 1, he was quarterback number 5 of that year. He played the last 4 games. He helped get the Browns to the playoffs. I'll give him that. But he didn't win the first games to set him up for that. Yeah. So Joe Flacco being a true number 1 nowadays, no. It's done. He's been a QB2 for a long time before becoming a QB1 out in Cleveland. So let's get into the other stuff. Arthur Jones, the former defensive tackle, drafted in 2010 in the 5th round, pick number 157 to the Ravens in 2010, played for the Colts from 2014 to 2016, and the former now Commanders, now the Commanders, former name Redskins out in Washington. Arthur Jones, defensive tackle, passed away at the age of 39. Some sad news coming out for, number 1, him and his family. Well wishes, best wishes to his family. It's a tragic thing to hear when somebody that young passes away, and it's just so sudden. But thoughts and condolences go out to Arthur Jones and his family. Arthur Jones, some of his statistics: he played in 64 games in the NFL with 173 tackles, 10 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, Super Bowl 47 champion with the Ravens over the 49ers. We all remember the infamous lights out game when we got past halftime and the lights went out inside the Superdome. He's a 2-time first team Big East in 2008 and 2009 and second team Big East in 2007. So condolences to Arthur Jones and his family. Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Ravens, he's going to be out in today's game against the Raiders. I mean, a big hit for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, your starting quarterback. Do you think that the Ravens, though, have a strong enough team to go out and win a ball game without Lamar Jackson?
No. I realistically don't. They don't even look like the Ravens with him. Realistically, they had a lot of praise. They had a lot of high regard going into this season. Oh, they're going to make the Super Bowl and all of this. So that doesn't seem to be panning out the way that a lot of people thought it was going to pan out. At being 1-3 right now. And a lot of people are scratching their heads. They don't understand that. The team is realistically stacked. So I don't know, but without Lamar Jackson, again, like I said, even with him, they've struggled. I think it's just going to get worse without him. I don't really know what this team has to hang their hat on that they're actually doing well right now. The defense looks awful. They have oh my god, a long list of names that are either hurt and or out. On their defensive front, which is not great, and it just looks bad. It really, it's like the sky is falling out there in Baltimore.
And just to correct myself, they play the Texans today, not the Raiders. I don't know where I got the Raiders. I think I was looking at the Raiders at the time and thought the Ravens played the Raiders, but they played the Texans today. Trey Benson, running back for the Cardinals, he is out today. He is the second Cardinals running back in 2 weeks to be placed on IR. He has a knee injury. He's going to miss the minimum of 4 weeks. So the Cardinals run game right now, getting a hit, with their top 2 running backs being out. Now they have to rely on running back number 3 and running back number 4. So what do you think the run game in Arizona is going to look like from today and moving forward for the next couple of weeks?
I mean, again, that's rough. First of all, prayers go out to James Conner. That's brutal. Again, like these injuries have just been piling up, and we're not even week 10 yet. It's insane. I mean, Arizona's going to try to do what they need to do. I think more so they're going to rely on Kyler Murray and his arm, especially if these backs are realistically unproven. I don't realistically feel like they're going to put the ball in their hands being third and fourth string backs. If game is on the line, they're not going to. I don't think they're trusting that to win ball games. I really don't. It's really going to be just off of what Kyler Murray can do on his own, him carrying the ball himself. Because we know he's a runner as well. And like I said, and just reliant on his arm. I really don't think they're going to put, the overall outcome, on the backs of these third and fourth string running backs.
Well, their running backs today are going to be DeMarcado and Michael Carter. Michael Carter, former running back of the Jets, got drafted in 2021. So didn't have a bad start out in New York, but it wasn't the best one either. And he's now in Arizona, and he's going to be – they're saying that they're going to split the carries today. Michael Carter should see a significant amount of snaps. And the recommendation for fantasy football, if you're struggling in fantasy football and you need a running back, he'd probably be a good one to pick up, last minute, because you might see some carries today. So Bucky Irving, running back of the Buccaneers, he's day-to-day with an ankle injury. He will not play in today's game for Tampa Bay. So he is out this week as well. I'm trying to see where the Bucs play today. Oh, they play the Seahawks at 4:00. So out against Seahawks today. Hey, when I take my notes, I'm very distinct about what I do when I take my notes, and I try and write down who these teams play as I'm taking my notes. And it almost looks like I failed to do that today. I don't know. It's weird. Brock Purdy, quarterback of the 49ers, he's listed week to week with his injury. We've seen the past couple weeks, Brock Purdy, week 1, got hurt, and he was listed to be out for 4 weeks. And he was back in the trainer room literally 3 days later saying, I'm good to go. Sat another week, and then he came back out 2 weeks later and said, I'm good to go. Ends up getting hurt in last week's game, before the Rams game. This was last Sunday's game. Went into the trainer's room Monday and said, look, I'm hurt. Now he's going to be on the bench again. Mac Jones is now the quarterback out in San Francisco. We've seen what he did on Thursday night, coming out, beating the Rams in overtime. what do you see as this being a look for the 49ers? I mean, you went out, spent all that money on Brock Purdy, but Mac Jones is coming out and winning ball games. So your thoughts on the 49ers situation at quarterback right now?
I don't know. I mean, Brock Purdy's position might be in danger. Honestly, I think they're doing better with Mac Jones, and hopes he's not hurt, because I think he got hurt last game as well. Again, like I said, that's another team. The injuries are just piling up. But yeah, no, it's definitely never a good look when you have your star quarterback and he's getting paid the fat money or whatever to be your starting quarterback, and he has proven why he is in that position. If he goes down and then, like I said, the backup comes in and just simply is just outperforming him, that is a very tough decision I think the 49ers are going to have to make. Luckily for them, they are surviving even with all these injuries at 4-1. So it's not like, again, a Browns or a Jets situation where they need to win now to survive and save their season. So
George Kittle of the 49ers is also going to likely be out past week 6. He was expected to come back for week 6, but his injury kind of has him as a setback right now. So we may not see George Kittle for another couple weeks. This is another hit for the 49ers. So, but again, they're staying afloat. They're winning ball games. I mean, that's what matters. It doesn't matter how pretty you win the games. It just matters that you are on the, winning side of a ball game at the end of the day. Cam, the Commanders, they are taking a huge hit right now at the wide receiver position. This is their injuries for the wide receiver position. Terry McLaurin, out. Noah Brown, out. Deebo Samuels. Now, Cam, we talked about this last week. You learn the difference between questionable and doubtful. If you're on the doubtful end of things, that means you're probably not playing, right? Deebo Samuels, doubtful for today. But Jaden Daniels, he's healthy. He's good to go. He is going to play today. So Jaden Daniels in, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, Deebo Samuels, the whole wide receiving core is out. What does this look like for the Commanders today?
Man, that's rough again. I don't realistically know. I mean, he doesn't have any weapons to throw to now. So it's definitely going to be relying on a lot of backups. They're going to go out there and do what they can. Obviously getting their star quarterback back in Jaden Daniels is a plus. I think Mariota didn't do too bad realistically while he was out.
No.
That definitely impressed me for sure. So I think they're good there. In case Daniels ever does get hurt again at any point in the season, I think they're good hands. But this is going to be a struggle for them today. Like I said, maybe when they get healthier, they might be able to manage this season a little bit better. But I think it's going to be a rough one today.
Well, we'll definitely have to see what happens with the Commanders as they take on the Chargers at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today out in LA. Brock Bowers, tight end of the Raiders. He has a knee injury right now. Did not practice most of the week. He is more so leaning towards the end of being out today for the Raiders. I'm going to say this right now, Cam. I don't think this is a huge hit for the Raiders right now. He has been an insignificant part of their offense this season. Last year, he comes out, has a blowout year as a rookie, and now this year, he's been kind of in the shadows of everything. And now he's dealing with a knee injury. He's out. He's basically going to most likely be out today. There's no ruling yet on whether he's going to be out today. But and you have to have that in, by 4 p.m. Saturday on whether a player is going to be out. So I believe they have him as questionable, which means that gives them the options of whether he's going to play or not, have a couple of snaps. Who knows with Brock Bowers, but I don't think he's played a big significant part of this Raiders offense to even start the year. Do you have any thoughts on Brock Bowers?
Yeah, I agree with you with what you said. I don't think he's really played a significant role this year for the Raiders. I think they'll be okay. I mean, they've already kind of struggled as it is right now. They're definitely trying to clean up their offense and definitely clean up the defense for sure. So, I mean, they realistically got to focus on that. I don't really feel like someone who, just like I said, hasn't had an impact for this Raiders team is realistically a huge hit. I think they'll be fine.
Well, we'll have to see how the Raiders do today with or without Brock Bowers. They're taking on a Colts team who suffered their first loss last week against the Rams. We'll have to see if the Colts end up bouncing back against the Raiders today as well. Three more things in the news. Number one, Shaq Leonard, the linebacker, doesn't play for anybody, hasn't been signed with anybody this year. He decided to retire after 6 seasons. So enjoy retirement, Shaq Leonard. He was one of my favorite linebackers coming into the league. So, he retires after 6 seasons. And Xavier Howard, defensive back of the Colts, he ended up deciding to retire as well. So he is going to be on the reserved retirement list for the Colts. And what that means, Cam, is he's making the decision to retire, but being a reserve means that if he decides, week 10, week 11, hey, I think I want to come back, he can. So right now he's retired and he's on that reserve list. Come the end of 2025, if he's still on that reserve list, that means he's going to retire. That's it for Xavier Howard. And this one kind of surprised me because Xavier Howard isn't a bad defensive back. Not a bad D-back at all. So this one actually did surprise me. One more thing to talk about, Cam, the rumors that have been floating around the past 24 hours. Now, we've seen Tyreek Hill go down last Monday night in that gruesome knee injury where it was announced that he was going to miss the rest of the season because he not only dislocated his knee, but he tore some ligaments. So Tyreek Hill had to get emergency surgery. He's basically done for the year. There is now rumors that the Dolphins are going to release him at the end of 2025. So what does this mean for Tyreek Hill? What does this mean for the Dolphins? And what does this mean for the rest of the NFL, for the teams that are looking for a wide receiver? I mean, Cam, if you owned a team, are you jumping to try and sign Tyreek Hill in 2026?
Maybe. He's definitely not the same Tyreek Hill from Kansas City Chiefs. That's for sure. But I mean, again, it's just the system that he's in. The Dolphins, I don't think was the right move in the right system for someone like a Tyreek Hill. I mean, onto his injury though. I mean, again, you're talking about somebody that got the nickname the Cheetah, and that's just because of what he can do, the speed that he can produce with his legs. And now with this leg injury, now we have seen great players, fantastic players, go out with gruesome injuries, and then they come back, and then they're just not really the same the remainder of their career. So I wouldn't realistically be jumping the gun if with any of these teams, any of these organizations, to get a Tyreek Hill when you really don't know what condition or what shape he's going to be in. Even when he's at 100%, he could be a completely different player, honestly, and that could be a problem if you're looking at the Tyreek Hill of old before this injury and the Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I personally wouldn't do it. I think it's a liability. You just really don't know what condition he's going to be in, what mental state he's going to be in coming back from such a bad injury.
In Kansas City, you're not wrong. He had a hell of a career out in Kansas City. He did. His biggest year was in 2018, 87 catches, 1,479 yards, 12 touchdowns. Now he had 15 touchdowns in 2020. Comes to Miami, 119 catches in each of his first 2 years. 2022, 1,710 yards for 7 touchdowns. 2023, 1,799 yards for 13 touchdowns. In year 3 in Miami, 81 catches, 959 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That is an 840-yard difference within a year. So it's almost like a slight downslide for Tyreek Hill statistically. And some may say, oh, that's because, the Dolphins brought in wide receivers like a Jalen Waddle and opened themselves up a little more on the offensive side of the ball to take the pressure off Tyreek Hill. And you can use that as an argument. You can. Tyreek also dealt with an injury last year that kept him out for, I believe, 2 or 3 games. So, you can account for maybe 100 yards each game. That's still a significant difference of almost 600 yards. I'm with you. I wouldn't be jumping to sign this guy next year. I wouldn't. I mean, going from a fantasy standout for most fantasy players that are like, I got to draft him in round 1. He's got to be my guy. And he was that wide receiver this year. He was a round one in 96% of drafts this year. He was a round one guy. But it was just the factor of like, he's not going to be that from now moving forward. He is going to be lucky if number one, the Dolphins release him and he signs with the team, he will be lucky if he's a round 5 or earlier draft pick in fantasy. He's going to be a late guy. He's going to be a bench guy. But not only that, he's going to be a liability for other teams. And I'm not talking fantasy. I'm talking real life signing with somebody. A lot of teams have to really think about what they're going to do. There's 3 teams that I think he would fit on. 3 teams I think he would fit on that he would be a significant part of their offense. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this or not, but the 3 teams that I think he would fit in: Kansas City, going back there with Pat.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2, Baltimore with Lamar. I mean, if you got Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill, I mean, that might solve the Ravens' issues as far as getting over the hump of the AFC title game. And number 3, Philadelphia. Him and Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. You get a Tyreek Hill in there, and he comes in and plays slot. He might have a successful back end of his career. Those are the 3 teams that I can think of right now for Tyreek Hill to sign with in 2026. And the rumors about A.J. Brown getting traded are false. Don't believe it. Eagles aren't trading him. He's already covered that. So that's it for the news. That's all we got, Cam. Had to bring up the Tyreek Hill stuff. I mean, significant part of this league and the Dolphins. So let's get into it. Week 5 of the NFL. 2 teams undefeated yet, Cam. Eagles, Bills. Now, a lot of people have predicted that the Eagles and the Bills are going to play in Super Bowl 60. I'm one of them. I think we are heading down that road right now with how things are going, but there are a lot of strong teams out there. The 49ers are one of them. Even though they have injuries eluding them, I think the 49ers are one of them. The Packers have had a downslide these past couple weeks, losing to the Browns, tying with the Cowboys. Number 1, Cam, before we get into this week, I want to ask you, how do you feel about ties in the NFL?
It's so stupid. It's so dumb. Like, it's just 2025. Like, come on already. Like, you guys sit here and you make rule changes pretty much every year. With did he catch it? Did it survive the ground? You know, not this year. I think they're like for like interceptions or like catches or whatever. Like, was it a double catch or whatever? Like, they literally alter the playbook or alter the rules like every single year, but you still have ties though. That's mind-boggling to me. It's so weird. Like, it's just like they'll alter everything else, thinking that it needs to be changed or needs to be fixed. But then when it comes to overtime and ties, they're just like, oh no, we'll just leave it alone. It's perfect the way it is. No, it's not. It absolutely is not. Like, a lot of people are saying adopt college rules, and I know that sounds weird, I guess.
I'm with it.
But go until there's a winner. Like,
yes,
just literally get rid of ties. It honestly does nothing for the teams that tie, because now you got a tie in the tie column, and then again towards the end of the season that could screw you over trying to get into the playoffs because of a whole win percentage or whatever. You could just honestly be bumped out because of the tie. That sucks.
Yes and no. We've seen situations where a tie got treated like a win. It was a couple years ago. I forget who it was that ended up having a tie in the column and ended up making the playoffs because that tie got treated like a win because of percentage differentials and all that stuff, the stuff they get into for tiebreakers. And they treat ties more like a win because you didn't earn a loss. You didn't earn a win. You had an opportunity to win. And it got treated. Ties almost get more treated like wins when it comes down to playoff decision than they do losses. And we've seen that in the past with well, there's like one or two teams that made the playoffs because of tie. I believe the Seahawks are one of them. They were like,
Yeah, I think you're right.
yeah, I think the Seahawks were one of them. Anyways, I'm with you. Adopt the college rule. You look at a college game and you get overtime 1. If they end up in overtime 2 and they end up tying at the end of overtime 2, then it turns into a 1-play, 2-point conversion. You score, you keep going. If the first team that attempts it misses and the other team scores, they win. It's as simple as that. Instead of starting at the 25, though, because it is the NFL, things move faster, things are bigger, things are stronger. Start at the 40 or the 50. Start at the 40 or the 50 and go from there. Move it back a little bit. You don't have to start at the 25. It'd be a little easier for NFL players to make it from the 25. I mean, in today's game, maybe not, but when you look at it statistically, it's easier to score from the 25. Why not start it at the 40 or the 50? Guarantee a winner. Get rid of the ties. There's no point in this anymore. Because now, again, like I said, the Packers come out in week 1 and week 2, look like the strongest team in the NFL. They come out and lose a battle with the Browns. And then they tie with arguably one of the worst defenses in the league in the Cowboys.
Yes.
Like, ridiculous. Ridiculous. So I'm with you. Adopt the college rule. Why not? Why not? And start at maybe the 40 or the 50 instead of the 25. And you keep going until you have a winner. I agree. We had a Thursday night game. Like I said, the 49ers defeated the Rams in overtime 26-3. The Browns are up 17-14 going into the fourth quarter right now over in London. So let's start off with the 1 o'clock game. Speaking of the Cowboys, they're taking on Justin Fields and the Jets today. Cam, what are you looking for in the Cowboys and the Jets?
This could be a sloppy one, honestly. Like I said, you just said it. Cowboys have literally a terrible defense. And the Jets, the Jets defense is good. I don't know. I don't think it hasn't been enough for them. Again, they got Justin Fields back out of concussion protocol last week. And I honestly expected them to pick up the victory there. And they did not. So again, I don't know what kind of voodoo the Jets put in New York, because it seems like it doesn't matter who you put at the helm for a quarterback with the Jets. They just somehow always manage to find a way to lose. So I'm giving the slight edge to the Cowboys. I think after the whole tie, fiasco last week with the Packers, I'm thinking that they're looking to, honestly get back into their winning ways. So I'm giving the edge to the Cowboys on this one.
I mean, Justin Fields, even though in the loss to the Dolphins last week, had a magnificent, let's say second half. I can't say full game, but second half, magnificent. Helped me get the win in fantasy. I'll say that right now. But the Jets are looking for that first win. The Cowboys are looking to bounce back from a tie. So I think this is going to be a good game today. I think the Jets-Cowboys are a pretty evenly matched team. And, I think this will be a good game today. We got the Giants and the Saints. The Giants end up starting
Jackson Dart.
Oh, gosh. Jackson Dart. You know who I was thinking about for a second? Bo Nix. I don't know why. It's close in proximity of name and announcement, all that stuff. But anyways, the Giants end up starting Jackson Dart last week, ends up picking up the win. Meanwhile, the Saints are struggling to find their first win of the season. What do you got in the Giants and the Saints today?
A lot of people are realistically already hopping on the bandwagon of, Jackson Dart. And rightfully so. I mean, he definitely had a great showing, I think, in his debut for the Giants last week. But it wasn't like the Giants dominated the Chargers. I mean, they almost let that game slowly start to slip away from them, as the Giants have been known to do. They'll have a lead and then just slowly slip. It'll slowly slip through their fingers. So I definitely am impressed, but I'm not gonna hop on the bandwagon too much or just yet of Jackson Dart. I think I got to see a little bit more, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is the savior of the Giants" and all that. And it's just like, after one game, it's like, I don't know about that. I got to see a little bit more here, but they might be in good hands. They might have finally found a quarterback in Jackson Dart, but we'll definitely have to see today.
I mean, insert the rookie quarterback and lose your best wide receiver on the team in Malik Neighbors for the year.
He was like the sacrifice.
Right. Yeah. The Raiders, who are also looking for their first win of the season, another team that just they got to win. So the Raiders, who have one win this year, 1-3, are looking to go out and beat the Colts and give the Colts their second loss of the year. Raiders, Colts, Indianapolis. What do you got?
Well, Daniel Jones, looking more like the Daniel Jones of old from last week. I don't know. See now I'm having the doubts with the Colts because it's starting to look like maybe there's a kink in the armor because before then they just were looking like juggernauts. The Raiders, again, like I said, they again, this is another team that's stacked that it really doesn't make a lot of sense why they can't pick up a lot of victories here. So this is probably their first real true test. That Colts defense is looking really good. The Colts offense is looking to bounce back from last week. So I don't know. I'm definitely looking to see, what Daniel Jones can do. If it was all just, a flash in the pan and that's it for Daniel Jones, or is he going to go back to, the Daniel Jones we've seen from the first 3 weeks?
A lot of people would say that the Rams were their first true test last week, but I'm going to have to agree with you that this might be their first true test. I mean for
the Raiders.
Oh, for the Raiders. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, the Colts. A lot of people would say that the Rams were their first true test. I'm going to have to say this. I think the Raiders might be their first true test because a lot of people expected the Rams to go in and win the game after falling to Philadelphia the way they did. Okay. But now the Colts got to go out and bounce back from a loss. So this is a test. And the Raiders, they're not pushovers. They're losing close games. They're losing opportunities to win ball games. They could put themselves in a position to win a game today and possibly expose Daniel Jones, or is Daniel Jones for real? That's what I mean by this could be their very first true test this year. Along with your thoughts on the Raiders. True test this year. Is Daniel Jones for real, or is it just a flash in the pan? So I agree with you on that. I do. Dolphins and Panthers both end up getting wins these past couple weeks. They're both 1-win teams going into this game today. They're out in Carolina. Dolphins don't have Tyreek Hill. What are you looking for in the Dolphins and Panthers game today?
Well, I think the Dolphins are going to ride the momentum after beating the Jets for sure. Now I typically always end up putting my foot in my mouth every time I talk about a lesser than team. I mean, could there be a shock and the Panthers beat the Dolphins? Sure. Do I see that right now? Just with looking at it? No. The Panthers are all over the place. They can win by 30 one week and then get beat by 40 the next week. So that team's all over the place. I don't know what's going on out there in Carolina. Jalen Waddle, I think, is going to get a lot of reps with Tyreek being out. So I'm expecting him to have a big game for sure. If they can keep Tyreek upright and they can keep him healthy in this game, I think Dolphins should easily run away with it.
The Texans and Ravens. I can't believe I'm saying this, Cam. They are both 1-3 going into this game. What do you got on the Texans and the Ravens? Who's picking up their second win?
That's tough too. I mean, again, I love CJ Stroud. I really do. I've stated that many times before. It's just their O-line is absolutely horrendous. With the depleted Ravens, though, they may be able to sneak by with one today. The Ravens are realistically hurting. They're not going to have Lamar Jackson today. So I'm giving the slight edge to the Texans. I mean, if there was ever a time to beat a very good, or at least what a lot of people thought they were going to be very good going into the season in the Ravens, it would be today. So again, they easily might sneak by with one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout necessarily by the Texans. I think it's still going to be a very competitive, close game. So again, they very easily may be able to sneak by with one.
The final game of the 1 o'clock set, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Denver Broncos. Now, there's been a lot of, I don't want to say scrutiny, but a lot of question marks when it comes to the tush push, right? A couple weeks ago, Mike Pereira, who is a lead NFL official, made some comments about the tush push. This is what he had to say this past week, courtesy of Fox Sports.
First of all, I don't want to see a play band that has that name. I love the name Tush Push. And I really don't see a logical reason why it should be. The injury data is not really there because you can't stop it. So let's get rid of it. I don't like it. I like the play and I hope it stays.
Okay, Mike Pereira hoping that it stays, hoping that the play sticks around and does not get banned for the 2026 season. As he said, the injury statistics, they're not there. No statistic of an injury of the tush push whatsoever. Now, last week, Philadelphia, there was a couple plays where against Tampa Bay, they looked like they were going to run the play, but ended up running a fake, scored some points on those fakes. Philly looking good, undefeated. Denver coming in, not looking like the Denver team that was expected this year. What do you got on Philadelphia and Denver?
First of all, the tush push thing, I've never realistically had a problem with it. That's just Philadelphia's thing. Every team, and they'd be lying to you if they say they don't or wouldn't. Every team wishes they had a signature play like that to get, first downs or to get, into the end zone when they're at like the 1 yard line or whatever. So it's a Philly thing. I don't really realistically mind it. I feel like the NFL is always trying to, back to the rules thing, they're always trying to ban something. That's why some people have coined it, NFL, no fun league. They're always trying to take something away and just make this league just as bland and boring as possible. So I don't have a problem with that. Realistically, I don't. In terms of this game, Eagles Broncos, like I said, Bo Nix right now is balling out there in Denver. He realistically has caught fire just in the short time that he's been there in Denver. So they honestly look really, really good. But again, I think they have their hands full with this Eagles team. If they can slow down, again, like I said, Saquon Barkley, I think they may have a chance. You're not stopping Saquon Barkley. You're just not. And even though he hasn't necessarily had a dominant season like he's had in the past year with the Eagles thus far, I think there's just teams that are more prepared. They are expecting him to go off. They're expecting him to go crazy. So if they can slow him down, they may have a chance. But I'm still going with the Eagles. Like I said, they always find a way to win.
We get into the 4 o'clock set of games, the Titans and the Cardinals. The Titans obviously struggling. I said at the beginning of the year that I didn't see any advancement from this Titans team. No. Cam Ward calling out his whole team last week in his press conference. I mean, he just went off on his press conference calling out his whole team. The Cardinals having some issues with the running back position. Michael Carter and DeMarc Carroll is going to get most of the carries today. What are you looking for in the Titans and Cardinals in the 4 o'clock set?
I mean, for Cam Ward to realistically be calling out his entire team, on one side of that, you could say, well, hey, I mean, at least he's being, real about it. The other side of that, some people will say like, hey, that should be a locker room thing away from the media, and you really shouldn't be calling out your team that way. That's just not a good look. So yeah, definitely some leadership issues going on right there with the Titans, and the Titans right now just look awful. The Cardinals, they're kind of on a downslope there. They definitely looked good in the beginning, kind of slipping here and there. So it's definitely going to be a battle of who realistically looks worse, I guess, in this game. I'm going to give the slight edge to the Cardinals. Maybe they bounce back here in this game. If there's ever a game to bounce back, it's against the Titans, because right now they're just hurting. They have holes in their game all over the place.
In me and John's pick challenge today, I took the Titans over the Cardinals. I did. Cam Ward being a rookie, coming out and calling out his team, not only in the locker room, but on national television in a press conference. That speaks volumes to me, because that's showing that you're going to be a leader. You're going to be a guy that's going to come in and control your team and tell your team, let's get the fuck off our asses and let's get moving here. This is ridiculous. This team, you look at it on paper, does it look good? It does. It looks okay. Does it look like a championship team? No, it doesn't. Does it look like a team that can go out and win the NFC South? No, it doesn't. Does it look like a team that can make the playoffs? No, it doesn't. But it looks like a team that can go out and get some wins. Show some progress. Show that you're going in the right direction, and this Titans team has done none of that. And I've expected that this year. I didn't expect any progress from this team this year. Now, they say that when teams trade for draft picks and put themselves in position to have future draft picks, all that stuff, they're planning for not only 2026, 2027, but they're planning for 2030, Cam. They're planning for 4 years ahead of time. Get in the game today. Stop thinking 4 years from now. Stop thinking 2 years from now. Stop thinking about next year. You need to get your shit together now, because this is a right now league. This is not a think for the future now, or think for the future league. This is a right now league. You got to win right now. And I want to look at something. I'm kind of curious on something, because we talked about this last week, and I'm kind of curious on something. Okay. Last year, by week 10, the Carolina Panthers, to get into a Panthers game, cost about $40 by week 10. Okay? We're going to look how much it costs to get into a Titans game. You know how much it costs to get into a Titans game right now, Cam?
How much?
$55. $55 to sit in section 330. Okay? To sit field level. Field level tickets, they can range between $500 and $1,000. You can sit field level at a Titans game right now for as low as $150. That's ridiculous.
That's wild.
So if you live in the Tennessee area and you want to go to a Titans game, I mean, they're not home today against Arizona. They'll be home. Looks like October 18th. Go to a Titans game. I'm sure the tickets will be a lot cheaper by the time you get there. The Bucs and Seahawks. The Buccaneers are also facing some running back issues with Bucky Irving. The quarterback position with Baker Mayfield has been kind of rough with his looming injuries right now with his right arm. He's also dealing with some, as they said in the media, mental aspects as well. Things are not looking right in a fan. I mean, if I was a fan of the Buccaneers right now, Cam, I'd be looking at it as like, Baker Mayfield, I don't know. This is kind of rough to hear. And Seattle, they're starting to kind of pick it up a little bit. What do you got in Tampa and Seattle today?
Well, I mean, if there's one thing I know about Baker, I don't think he's going to let it affect his game. I really don't. I was very impressed with him in the Eagles game, even though they lost. That was the first loss of the season. They still hung in there. Like I said, he could have just easily crumpled and let it affect his game. So, no, like I said, when he's on that field, he's a different person, and he's definitely focused. So I wouldn't necessarily be concerned about that necessarily. He has just toughness just all around. So I'm very impressed with him so far this season. Yeah, like I said, the Seahawks definitely are picking it up. The Seahawks are surprising me for sure. Like I said, the myth, the legend of Sam Darnold continues out there in Seattle, which I definitely did not see coming. And like I said, them getting help with the blockbuster move with Cooper Kupp. So like I said, they look in good shape right now. I think the Buccaneers are looking to bounce back though. So I'm giving them the edge in this here. Even with their injuries, because they got a lot of injuries too. They always find a way to stay in football games or win football games. So
the Detroit Lions, they head out to Cincinnati to take on Jake Browning and the Bengals. The Bengals, they start off, I don't want to say hot, but they pick up wins. And then Joe Burrow goes down. Jake Browning comes in, and the Cincinnati Bengals have basically just disappeared. This team got freaking steamrolled in their game against Minnesota. What are you looking for in Detroit and Cincinnati, man? I have no belief that Cincinnati is going to come out and even have an aspect of a chance to win this game today.
Yeah, no, I think you could expect more or less their game against the Vikings here in this game today against Detroit. Again, the Bengals their primary focus should be the run game, because the Lions have a phenomenal run game. with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They can slow them down. Maybe they sneak by with one, but I doubt it. Even then, I still doubt it. Jared Goff has been balling out. I mean, other than his game against the Browns, dude's been primarily squeaky clean. He's throwing almost perfect games. So you still have that aspect there, even if you do slow down this run game. So yeah, I'm with you. It really does not look like the Bengals have even the smallest of chances in beating the Lions right now. This could be this could get pretty ugly for the Bengals early on.
Final game of the afternoon before we get into the nightcap of things. The Commanders, they are facing some injuries in the wide receiver room, but they are getting their star quarterback and Jaden Daniels back. The Chargers looking to bounce back from their surprising loss to the Giants last week. What do you got, Commanders, Chargers?
I mean, it's great to see that Jaden Daniels is back for the Commanders. He's probably going to have to play a lot of what I like to consider hero ball today against the Chargers. That Chargers defense is absolutely relentless. So that sucks for him coming back. Again, like I said, the sacrifice it seems like for him coming back is basically his wide receiver room. So that's not good for the Commanders. The Chargers are looking to bounce back, I would say. And they still look relatively good. Other than their game against the Giants, where they realistically struggled. So yeah, I see them coming. I see them bouncing back. The Commanders' defense is okay, but it's not all that to where I think they have to worry necessarily. So I definitely think they have something to prove. They definitely want to get back on their winning ways.
In the nightcap on Sunday Night Football, the New England Patriots head out to Buffalo to take on their AFC's rival Buffalo Bills. The Bills, one of the final two remaining undefeated teams, along with Philadelphia. What do you got, Buffalo and New England?
This could be a battle, honestly. These two are rivals after all. Like I said, it's not the same quality or caliber of rivalry. Back when Tom Brady was with the Patriots. But thus, I think, just given their history, definitely the Patriots are going to be out for blood, I think, in this game. The Bills, though, looking good. The Bills definitely are. They are tough. They have, physical, mental toughness. I think, I honestly was concerned for Josh Allen. I think it was like week 2 or whatever, where he like broke his nose. But no, dude just pops it back in and just goes back out there. So yeah, he just has a mental toughness on another level right now. So the Bills are looking good.
I was playing my cousin in our league in fantasy during that week that Joe Burrow got popped in the nose, and I had messaged him and said, "Oh my gosh, you have to be freaking out right now." And he goes, "Why?" I said, "You're not watching the Bills game? Like, Joe Burrow just got rocked, and Mitchell Trubisky's in right now." And he's like, "No, I'm not freaking out." And 2 plays later, Josh Allen's back in. And I'm like, okay, you had a little bit of scare there, a little bit of scare. I ended up beating my cousin in fantasy that week, by the way. I did. I ended up winning. But, if I was a owner of Josh Allen, I would have been freaking out at that moment, definitely. The Chiefs and the Jaguars cap off the week on Monday Night Football out in Jacksonville. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they seem to be struggling, having some issues this season. Last week, we've seen the offense pick things up a little bit. Kansas City, Jacksonville, Monday Night Football. What do you got?
Jacksonville looks pretty good. This is another team just like the Seahawks that I think are surprising me right now at how good they realistically are. Right now, I mean that this Jacksonville team looks like they have the biggest shot at, beating the Chiefs. Unfortunately for them, this is not, week 1, 2, or 3. The Chiefs getting back, obviously some of their offensive weapons coming back from injuries. And I think they're starting to pick up steam realistically. And I think that's just bad for any teams that have to play them in the next coming weeks. So I really still don't see the Chiefs dropping this game necessarily, but I definitely do see it being competitive as opposed to if you were to see this game in any other season, just because the Jacksonville Jaguars are actually pretty decent this year.
I'm going to say this right now. You're right. I mean, the Chiefs getting back Xavier Worthy from injury, I mean, they were relying on wide receivers they weren't necessarily relying on. Xavier Worthy, Rashid Rice were the two guys. Hollywood Brown coming in, and John deemed Hollywood Brown as their top. He thought that they were one of their top wide receivers, if not the top wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. Rashid Rice, he's soon ready to come back from his suspension. He's not far gone. I believe he comes back in like week 7. I'm interested to see what this Kansas City team looks like at full force on offense, because the defense isn't that good.
No,
it's not. And they got some star players on that defense that can come out and literally dominate games, which surprises me. So I'm actually anxious to see what this offense is going to look like at full force with a Rashid Rice, with an Xavier Worthy, with a Hollywood Brown. Get Travis Kelce in that mix, and I'm curious to see what this Kansas City offense looks like at full force. But the defense of the side of the ball is what's hurting them right now. And I think they need to get it together on defense. But we'll have to see once Rashid Rice comes back. As far as me and John's pick challenge, right now John is 43-21. This does not count for the Thursday night game. If you count the Thursday night game, 43-22, because we both lost on Thursday night. We both took the Rams. I'm 40-24 going into the week, but 40-25 if you count Thursday night. I am 3 games back from John right now. Our differences are he took the Browns, I took the Vikings. I took the Panthers, he took the Dolphins. I took the Titans, he took the Cardinals. I took the Bucks, he took the Seahawks. So we have 5 differences this week. So should be interesting to see how that ends up panning out. But that's all we got. Before we get out of here, I want to ask everybody to please head over to all the Huddle Hub social medias, over on the Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast, over on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. You hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. That's how you follow on YouTube. Over on X, where I make all the announcements for shows at the Huddle Hub Pod, and on TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod as well, where I post videos, pretty much same videos you see on YouTube, but please go support the TikTok, as we are trying to get that up to par so where we can go live. I believe we can go live on the TikTok. I just have to get the stream key so we can do so. But help us build the Huddle Up Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond by going to follow all the social media. Speaking of social media, Cam, your socials are on the bottom. What do you want to let the people know?
Yes, like I said, check us out every single Sunday morning. We're talking about some college football and the NFL. Of course, check us out tomorrow night. We'll be back on the Table Spot on River City Radio, right here on Twitch, talking about some Monday Night Raw. And then, of course, on Wednesday night with the addition of Mr. Phil Khan to talk about some AEW Dynamite. Wait, hold on. Dynamite's on Tuesday this week, isn't it? For Title Tuesday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on Tuesday. So, yeah, join us Tuesday after Title Tuesday for AEW, talking about Title Tuesday as well. So, yeah, stay tuned for that.
All right, so make sure you're going to follow Cam on all his social medias. Make sure you're heading over to Rivet City Radio and Off the Top Media for the Boom and the Table Spot Monday night, the Boom Wednesday night. As far as me, Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, Metal Mike 714, that's where you can find me. Make sure you're joining us also on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for myself and John as we recap the NFL Week 5 and get you ready for Week 7 of college football. We are halfway through the season in college football. And we're almost at the halfway point of the NFL as well, which is insane how fast the weeks are going. But that's it for the Huddle Hub Podcast. Please make sure you're going to check out all the social medias. Make sure you're following. We will see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you could. Good luck to your teams today. Deuces.